Hey guys, so today I wanted to do a video for you on how to date military items, and I can already tell you this is going to be probably a 2 or 3 part, I guess, series I'm going to do. And some of you guys have been collecting for a while. You probably know all or most of what I'm going to kind of cover in this video and even in the next video or two. But this might be for some of the newer collectors or some that have been collecting for a little while and just need some questions answered. You guys know I love making these kind of videos and passing on information that I have. And like I've always said, I don't know it all. Nobody knows everything. There's always more to learn. And that's what's so fun about, this hobby is you just can keep reading and studying and learning, and that's just part of the fun. And so, like I said, I just picked some random items here that I wanted to, I guess, focus on in this video. But please watch this one. Obviously you are, I guess, but watch the second one and maybe the third one. I'd really appreciate it. And hopefully you guys get some good information from these videos. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring you in and let's get started. Alright, so what you see here, obviously I've got some helmets, canteens, canteen covers, canteen cups, mess kits, and a flag. And these are just, I guess, the subjects I wanted to cover in this particular video. Now, I will say that this video and probably most of the next one, and if I do make a third one, is mostly going to pertain to U.S. stuff, since that's mostly of what I collect. But, I might add, some other items in the next video or two that aren't U.S. related. But, I just know the U.S. stuff so well, and so I just really stick with stuff that I know. But anyways, hopefully you guys get some good information from this video. So one thing good about U.S. stuff is the United States is good about dating stuff. Whether they put the whole year, like just for example 1945, or just put the last 2 digits of the year, like 45 or 43. So, that can make, collecting U.S. stuff a little bit easier to date and find out, eras or time periods and everything. And so I just wanted to start, I guess, with these helmets here. And so, one thing when it comes to collecting military helmets, especially the M1 helmets, a lot of collectors want to know, how do I know if my helmet is World War II? And, I've done so many videos on helmets and everything. I'm not going to go into just a ton of detail on them. I'll put some videos in my end screens at the end of this video, and also maybe a few links in the description if you want some more information on different things. But so one way to determine if you 100% have a World War II U.S. M1 helmet is this right here. That right there is called the seam, and that's basically where the rim, the two ends of the rim, meet at the front of the helmet. So if you have a helmet in your collection, or there's one you're looking at, and you see that right there, I'll turn it over and show you from the inside. See, it's right there. Sometimes it's painted over. You can see the split or the seam. If it's on the front, then you've got a World War II helmet automatically. Now, there's, the front seam, and then what's called the rear seam, which I'll talk about here in just a second. So another thing guys would want to know is, how do I know how early in the war my helmet is, right? And so there's what's called the heat stamp or heat lot or lot of steel numbers that are inside the helmet. And like this one right here, if you can see that, it's 374B. Now there's 2 companies that made the majority of helmets during World War II. There's McCord, they made about 20 million, and Schluter made about 2 million, and there's a third company called Parrish that made a very small amount towards the end of the war, and those are very rare. But the main 2 companies, McCord and Schluter, McCord made the most of them. And there is a chart that's out there floating around the internet. It actually came about in a book called Helmets of the ETO. And that book, there's a chart that can be used as a rough guesstimate estimation of roundabout possibly when your helmet might have been made, month and year. It's definitely not set in stone, and it's not a guarantee that your helmet was made in that particular month or months. It's just kind of maybe a roundabout, but it can maybe give you a little bit of an idea, along with other characteristics of the helmet that can help you date it as well. But so you got your front seam helmet here. Now there's what's called fixed bell and swivel bell. So your bell's right here. See, these are fixed. They're welded in place. They do not move. They don't swivel. They don't rotate back and forth left to right. So if you have a helmet that's front seam, fixed bell, and you're not sure about, dating it going by the heat stamp, right? you have a fixed bell, then that tells you it's early war, and it would date before October of 1943. And the reason I say that is around October 1943, the U.S. started producing what's called swivel bell helmets. So like this one right here, it's a front seam fixed bell. This one dates actually to 1943, late 1942. I apologize, but so see like this one right here, this next helmet, front seam. And then you got what's called swivel bell. And see these swivel, they rotate left and right. So if you have a helmet that's front seam and it's swivel bell, then your helmet would have been made more than likely starting around October 1943 or later. I said probably or might because some of the original fixed bell helmets might have been converted to the swivel bell. So you might have a helmet here, like mine fixed bell, say in the field, the welds broke, the bells broke, or whatever, then they would have been, sent back, converted to swivel bell, and maybe reissued to another soldier. But, so this one's front seam, swivel bell, and going by the heat lot, this one dates after October of 1943. So this one would not have been originally a fixed bell helmet. So this one would date after October 1943. And this one actually dates, when was it? Somewhere around November 44. So those are two front seam helmets. Now I'm going to go to rear seam. So around September, October of 1944, the seam was transferred to the rear. It's not at the front anymore. It's now at the rear of the helmet. Now these can be, for newer collectors, these can be a little bit harder to determine if it's World War II or not. Is it late World War II, beginning around October 1944 through the end of the war in 45? Or is it a Korean War era made shell or Vietnam era? So there's a little bit more study and stuff that goes into determining that. But basically, the easiest way, if you want a 100% a World War II helmet without having to do just a ton of research, always look for a front seam. That's a guarantee. Fixed bell is earlier war. Swivel bell is mid-war to late, getting into the later war years before the rear seam. So that's just kind of a little bit of information there. Again, I've got other helmet videos and stuff I'll try to get in the description for you to watch. So another thing, when it comes to like flags and stuff, a lot of guys like older flags, and one way to determine if you do have an older flag is it 48 stars, or even less than that, at 45. But if you have a 48 star flag, it would date before 1959. Because in 1959 is when Alaska and Hawaii were made into states, became states 49 and 50. So again, if you have a flag that has 48 stars, it is before 1959. So it could be, early 50s, 1940s, 30s, whatever. But so just look for 48 stars. If you definitely want an older flag, 48 stars. If it's 50 stars on your flag, then it would date after 1959. So it'd be more like Vietnam era or newer. Now I want to cover canteens and stuff. A lot of guys have questions about canteens and different things. And again, when it comes to U.S. stuff, it's pretty much already dated for you. But so with World War I canteens, as long as it's not like a pre-1918, if you have a pre-1918 canteen, it will not be dated. It will not be stamped with the manufacturer. It's only the ones made in 1918. And the World War I canteens were always dated on like the front of the canteen. Sometimes it's here about where my thumb is, and it would be going actually up and down. Other times it's here towards the bottom of the front of the canteen. Now, I've never seen a World War I canteen with a date on the bottom. It's always been here on the front, or it could be going this way, left to right, as my thumb's going here. Now, I'm not saying they don't exist, but I've just never seen one. So if you want a World War I canteen, look for 1918 here, or it'll be going vertical up and down there. Now, when you get into World War II canteens, they also had, I'll start right here, they also had them where they were made, they were stamped, like nice in 1945 on the front, right? Just like the World War I, they're both on the front of the canteen. Also, there were companies during World War II that actually put their their information and the date on the very bottom of the canteen. So some might be here and some might be on the bottom. But again, see 1943. This other one's 1945. And then even after World War II, see, this one's 1962. It's right here where my thumb is. So again, just if you get a canteen, just kind of look it over and, look on the front here. Just kind of turn it over. If you happen to find one that you don't have a date on it and it's got this older aluminum cap here, there's a good chance it dates earlier than 1918. And it would not have originally been stamped. That maybe this information over time just faded or disappeared because maybe it was lightly stamped or whatever else, or maybe somebody scrubbed it or cleaned it off. But that's just a little bit about the canteens there. Now when it comes to canteen cups, I'll start with this one here. This one's World War I, and it dates 1918. I'll show you. It's actually here on the bottom of the canteen. 1918 right there. And so I've actually got some of my collection that aren't dated, and I know they're pre-1918 World War I because of the type of handle they have and the rolled lip here on the cup. It's got a different kind of design on the cup itself. Now when it comes to World War II dated canteen cups, they're actually dated on the handle. Like this one's 1945. It's not on the bottom of the cup itself, but it's on the handle. So World War I, it would be on the bottom, or if it's pre-1918, it will not be dated at all. Same thing with the World War I canteen. And then if it's World War II, it should be right here on the handle. Now there's a chance there could be on the bottom of the cup as well, but a lot of times it's going to be on the handle for World War II canteen cups. Now when it comes to covers, on the World War I covers, they're going to be dated here on the inside flap. Like you see 9/1918, so 9 would be the 9th month, so September 1918. This would be a later World War I made cover. Then you get into the World War II covers. Some companies actually kept the, put in their information and the date on the flap, just like the World War I canteen. See, this one's 1942. This one right here is World War II also, but you see it's 1942, but it's actually stamped on the back. So, your World War II covers could be inside flap or on the back of the cover itself. World War I cover is going to be on the inside flap. Now, when it comes to post-World War II covers, see, this one's actually dated 1957. It's on the back and on the bottom. So that's just kind of a rundown of, date and canteen covers there. And the last thing I wanted to cover in this video was mess kits. So if you have a World War I mess kit, this is where you should find the date. See, this one's dated 1917. It's kind of, cruddy and everything. 1917 is right there on the, where the little clamp part is for the handle that clamps onto the side of the mess kit itself. 1917. When it comes to a World War II mess kit, it's going to be right here, or it should be right here a lot of times, if not most of the time, on the middle of the handle. See, this one's 1945. You won't, or you shouldn't see a World War II mess kit with the date over here like you find it on the World War I examples. But, there's so many companies that made, different things that were used by the soldiers. Sometimes they would kind of change or deviate maybe from the way other companies, the way they stamped their product with date and manufacturer information. It could be back, just like, the covers. You could be inside flap, back of the canteen. World War I cover canteen on itself, dated here or up and down, or, on the bottom. It's just, this is what makes it so fun collecting stuff, because there's just so much searching and stuff and researching and looking for and everything. It's really part of the fun of owning the item. Yeah, it's fun finding the item wherever you go and come across it, but it's also fun learning more about that item. And the more you know about that item, the more it excites you to have it in your collection, or at least for me. But anyways, this is just, like I said, again, video 1 of 2 or 3. Hopefully this might have answered some questions for you. But I'm looking forward to making this next video. And if you do have any questions, just hit me up in the comments, and I'll be glad to try to help you answer any other questions on these particular items here. But look in the description for links and at the end screen, and I'll be getting back to you soon. So thank you, guys.